Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to tune in. Sorry we're a minute or two late getting started here. My name is Warren Brown. If you're not familiar with myself or my colleagues, I'm part of the medical education team here at Genova Diagnostics. We are here to help you clinicians as you order testing, help with interpretation, help with choosing the right tests. We're always thinking about what tests we can use to help answer clinical questions about our patients. So we are happy to assist with that process. I'm a naturopathic physician by training. I've been with Genova about 5 years and really enjoy my work with Genova. One of my favorite things about my job is talking with you clinicians, helping to answer your test questions, helping to assist with interpretation. We have, some of our profiles have over 120 different biomarkers in them, so given that, it can be useful to have another set of eyes on the test results, and that's what we're here for. So it's truly is one of my favorite parts of the job is speaking with you all. I hope you and your families and friends are well. I know that it's been hard to for some of us to navigate some of the changes in healthcare, and hope you've been able to navigate that successfully. One of the things I wanted to do today was talk to you about some of the tools that you can incorporate that might help to facilitate that, particularly if you're doing telemedicine. If you're seeing patients remotely, it can be really helpful to be able to send them a test kit, have them collect a specimen at home, and then send that back to us, and we can issue the results to you and talk about the test results. So it can be a useful tool to have. And what I wanted to speak with you today about was oxidative stress. There are some markers that can tell us about oxidative stress that we can measure in the urine, which can be helpful for assessing whether the patient has that proper balance between antioxidant support and protection against free radical damage. So it's sort of that trade-off. And so the two markers are lipid peroxides and 8-OHDG. Lipid peroxides tell us about oxidative damage to cell membranes, and 8-OHDG tells us about oxidative damage to DNA. Both of these markers are available in our optimal nutrition evaluation profile, as well as our NutriVal profile. And so those would be something to consider if you're looking at assessing these markers. Why would you want to do that? Well, oxidative stress has been implicated in a lot of different chronic diseases, things like arthritis, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory conditions, autoimmune diseases. The list goes on and on, even includes things like cancer. So we want to assess if we're having an excess of oxidative stress in a patient. Being involved in so many chronic diseases, that's something that we can intervene in pretty easily and really make a big impact. Oxidative stress is really a biochemical stress that happens when we have an imbalance of free radicals and between the imbalance of free radicals and antioxidant defenses that I mentioned. So that triggers an inflammatory cascade that can be really problematic and lead to some of those, be a contributing factor in some of those clinical conditions. So this is basically a lack of proper response to free radical damage. And free radicals are those electrons that fire through our system and can create damage to cells or DNA. And that's what we're measuring with lipid peroxides and 8-OHDG. Last time I checked, about 14,000 different PubMed articles reference lipid peroxidation and would have some relevance to that. About 5,000 or more literature articles citing 8-OHDG. So these are well-studied markers, widely accepted and very useful markers. If we see lipid peroxides high or 8-OHDG high, there's a few things to think about. One is if you have a patient who has a lot of oxidative stress from a toxin, whether that's an exotoxin like an environmental toxin or an endotoxin like from gut bacteria. It could even be things like radiation or other types of oxidative stressors, uncontrolled blood sugar, for instance. All of that can create oxidative stress, and we need to have the capacity to counterbalance that with antioxidant support. Antioxidant needs vary pretty substantially between person to person because there's so many factors that weigh into it. So that's why it's important to test to know, is this patient getting the proper balance between antioxidants and the amount of oxidative or free radicals that they're carrying. So that's why it can be important to test. There's been one study that sticks out in my mind about lipid peroxidation that links it to low vitamin E levels. And vitamin E is an antioxidant that plays a big role in the cell membranes, which is one of the areas where lipid peroxidation happens. So that one was in endurance athletes. So there's a lot of different reasons why we could have an imbalance between antioxidant capacity and the amount of free radicals that we're dealing with. So that's just a brief summary of a couple of oxidative stress markers that could be useful. We are available to help answer your questions. So for those of you who have an account with Genova Diagnostics, you can call us, set up some time with myself or anybody in the med ed department to talk about test results. We'd be happy to help with that. Our number is 800-522-4762. And our website is www.gdx.net. So I hope that information is useful to you. Please feel free to give us a call if you have any questions about test interpretation or even selecting the right test. We'd be happy to help with that. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to talk with you on the phone. Take care.